There is a world which exists which most people fail to look at. Think about what you are aware of right now. You're watching this video, you're sitting on something. What's the weather outside? Where are you? This is all under the same umbrella of the conscious mind. You are present, you are conscious, right? But the other part which we fail to recognize or learn about is the subconscious mind. And this is where you can get into the depths of learning about yourself. This is self-healing. Did you come into this world sad, depressed, unhappy, and insecure? Hell no. These are all learned concepts. By understanding the shadow, our dark side, and the subconscious mind, our conscious mind, we see that it's just another part of us and we have power over it rather than having power over us. We all try to manipulate our physical perception when the real issue is underneath. When you look at everything which is going on around the world, we're just trying to suppress ourselves, our authentic selves in the real world because we're not conforming to society. When you think about it like that, everyone is flexing money on Instagram. Everyone's trying to be a rapper. Everyone's doing something which makes them seem cool. And to pay for the price of that, they're hiding who they actually are. And when you hide for a long time, you don't even recognize yourself in 10 years' time or even 5 years' time. You don't recognize who you are because you've just been conforming to what society has been telling you. You need to go to university. You need to dress this way. You need to post pictures this way. You need to do this. And when you're conforming to society, you're in the trap of letting someone else control you rather than you controlling that thing. And so in this video, we're going to cover on how we can control our subconscious mind and how we can use that as a tool rather than as a destructive program which is programmed into us. We're going to use the subconscious mind and our shadow as a tool, and by the end of this video we're going to learn how to integrate them together and move forward. See, when it comes to your mind as a whole, there is what you know, there is what you don't know, and there is what you don't know you don't know. Our brain is literally categorized in the conscious and the subconscious because our brain uses a lot of energy in order to run. This is our hardware, and in order to run into the world, we use a lot of energy. And so what the brain creates is it creates the conscious processes and the subconscious processes, right? Because what our brain does is it just wants to save our time and energy in order to operate in the world. And so when we are out and about, we're not really focused on everything at once, right? We're focused on what is in our consciousness right now. When you go on and open a door, you're not really thinking where you're going to put your foot, how you're going to open the door, where you're going to stand, how you're going to pull the door, what speed. You're not going to think that, right? You're just pulling the door. It's a simple movement. But this is our subconscious process. You've opened so many doors in your life that this has now become a subconscious process. I know it sounds weird, but when it comes to the things that you do every day, they have become a subconscious process. Even the things that you may not like, even the bad habits that you may do, they have become a subconscious process because your brain is automatically thinking, okay, this is the type of person to do that. So why not show that they have that belief? So why not show that it's true? Why not make them do it? But you have that conscious choice in order to not do that thing, right? So right now, what I'm going to do is let you know of some subconscious processes which run your life, but you don't actually know that they do. So I'm going to break your subconscious processes in 3 categories, right? One of them is your flight or fight response. When it comes to that, it's all built inside of you. You don't have to think twice. You see a tiger right in front of you. You're not going to think, now it's time to fight. It's going to be a response in your head, either to run or to fight. This is your body reacting to the threats that it sees. It could be what you think as well. It doesn't need to be something physical. It could be a thought, oh, my assignment is due, so I need to be doing it quick. And so that creates a fearful thought, and that puts you into fight or flight. And what this essentially does, it makes your eyes more awake. You've got high blood pressure. The hair on your skin just starts rising because of nervousness and fear. And you have options to either run, stay where you are, as in freeze, or just do the thing. And so that's one of the processes that your subconscious mind controls. The second subconscious process is storing memories. It's storing everything that you have, your knowledge, what you see outside, what you experienced, into a whole tank of information. And when you think about it, most of our events or knowledge or information is being corrupted. So everything that you've experienced, everything that you know, you're not aware of it in the present moment. That's because it's present in the subconscious. And if you think about it too hard, if you want to know something, you will get stuff thrown at you. So you will get the information that you want right now thrown at you. And then you will remember it's not really in your conscious awareness right now. If I ask you, what did you eat after 5 p.m. yesterday? That wasn't really in your conscious awareness before I spoke those words, and now you're actually thinking of what do you actually eat, right? So it's the same way. You're pulling out information from the past and you're bringing it into the present. And the third subconscious process which I wanted to talk about is your basic life functions. It's your breathing, it's your blood flow, and it's the hair growing on your body. It's not like you're doing these things. You got a question, who is actually doing these things? You who you think is you, right? Me, my name is Tilston. I'm this type of person. Am I the one growing this hair? It's just people identified with their ego conceptions. But I'm not going to go in that tangent just yet. Every one of these functions, you're not really controlling your blood flow. It's just an automated process. You're breathing, right? When you breathe, think about breathing, it becomes a conscious process. Like, oh shit, I'm breathing. But when it's subconscious, you don't really give much thought to it. That's something that you do subconsciously all the time. It's breathing. Unless you're doing some breath work or meditation, which I respect you for. And the vast majority of our lives is spent within the influence of the subconscious. Like 95% of our life, right, that we go about our day, it's influenced by the subconscious. The conscious mind is just kind of, yeah, everything's going fine. But it's the subconscious that carries a lot of stuff, which we don't really know because we don't really look at it, right? Society tells us, oh, we shouldn't look at it because it's bad. It's bad to look at this part because it's evil. The repressed dark side that we all have. We shouldn't look at that. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, we need to look at that. And that is why we are here right now. We are going to look at our dark side and we are going to integrate it with our personality. A lot of people don't have the courage to do this because they are scared of what the dark side might hold. But me and you, we're going to go on this journey throughout this video to see what the dark side actually holds and to integrate it with our actual personality and to think about it. Is anyone else doing this? No. They just focused on Instagram flexing. They focus on getting money. They focus on the physicality. And if we focus solely on the dark side and we integrate it with our personality, imagine the amount of progress that we will make, how we will surpass these people that are all about the material. And when you take one of the things away, they're like, oh, but I want it. The addicts. And if we surpass them, imagine the amount of clarity that we will have compared to them. So the foundation of this video is built around the psychoanalyst Carl Jung, right? And so I'm basically going to explain what he thought of our personality, who we are, right? So basically I'm going to show you what he calls the psyche, which is all we are, including the dark side, how we portray to us, including the dark side, how we portray ourselves to the world, and what sides we have repressed within us that we don't want to show to others. And so there we can see Jung's model of the psyche. In basic terms, our psyche is our soul or our mind, depends on how people interpret it, right? But it's our soul. It's the wholeness of what we have. It's the dark side. It's everything combined into one. Our consciousness, everything falls under the same umbrella. But what happens is it branches out into different sectors. You can see that there's the persona, there's the ego, there's the self, there's the shadow, and there's the animus or anima, right? And so it just encompasses everything into one. So we are going to start looking at the persona, right? And so what the persona is in Latin, it literally translates to a mask which is worn by actors in a play. And it's actually true when you think about it. Your persona, or how people portray themselves, is fake. It's something we all wear on the outside. We don't really show our authentic selves to people because people might not like us, right? We might not get the approval that we are needing from people. And so we seek it from other things. We seek it from a certain group that we fit in, a certain sport that we like to watch. We create our persona based on that. And through that, people will actually like us. That is what we think. So most people around the world, they are fake, literally fake. It's just masks worn on top of who they actually are. And they're just complying with everything that society is telling them to comply to. They're conforming to societal standards. And when we know that societal standards are fake in themselves, why would you conform to those? So this persona, this mask, is created within our childhood. In our childhood, there's our teachers, our parents, our friends, in our classroom, right? We think that, oh, my teacher said if I talk this loudly, I will get sent out of class. And when you're in school, right, the class is like your whole world. You're not thinking about what's going on outside your class, what's going on here, what's going on there. The class is literally, everything is built around the class because you're young. You know nothing about the world. You're just in the class and you think that's the whole world. And someone says you're just singing in class, right, one day, and the teacher comes in like, shut up. As in, just keep quiet. You're gonna think, oh, so I can't sing because if I sing, people won't like it. And if people won't like it, people will kick me out or push me away. And so back in the day, what used to happen, you would get banished from the tribe, right? You get kicked by your teacher, then you're left alone to survive. And you can't really survive alone when humans are based on community and based on working together. And so you're gonna die. The fear of singing is linked to the fear of death. I'm gonna take it much further. Every fear that you have, every single fear is rooted within the fear of death, even social anxiety. If your parents told you to not do this, or don't sing, or don't dance, don't do a specific thing because it's bad, you're going to comply to what they're saying when you're at a young age because you don't want to be seen as negative, and that carries on throughout your life. You conform and you build your personality around this society which tells you to do certain things. And so you become the shell of who you actually are. You're not that. You are not your persona. That is what I'm trying to say here. You are not your persona, but most people want you to identify as the persona. I'm here to tell you straight up, you are not your persona. You are much more than that. You should know that. All these people telling you that, oh, you are the persona and you need to be acting a certain way, you need to be dressing a certain way. Most people identify themselves as the persona in their life. They just think, oh yeah, I'm the persona. What I portray on the outside is me. When it's not actually you, it's just that's you who is socially accepted, which is not actually the real you. Let me ask you one question, right? We play a lot of roles in our life. We play someone's son, we play someone's teacher, we play someone's father. Would you act, you know what, let me ask you this question real quick. Would you act the same way with your parents the way you do with your friends? Most likely not. Because they are completely different people in your eyes. And so when you're acting with your parents, you're going to act differently. But when it comes to your friends, you're going to act a bit differently. And so this is what I'm trying to point here. You change your persona in order to fit into what is socially acceptable. But the more you do that, the more you have a risk of attaching your identity, who you are, into who you portray. But you are not who you are portraying in the external world. You can't really grasp your totality within the actions that you do, the words that you speak, the way that you dress. This is what we mentioned before. You can't really be aware of everything. There is a world which exists within you that you can't really grasp until you worked on it. And in this video, I'm going to help you work on it. Now, if you go a bit deeper, we're going to see the ego. And the ego is not the ego in a mainstream sense, right? Like we say, oh, that person is egotistical. That guy has a lot of ego. It's not that type of ego. The ego which I'm speaking about right now is basically made of your conscious mind, of what you like and what you dislike. It's sort of like your personality in a way, but not really your personality, if you know what I mean. It's just who you are according to the things that you like and the things that you don't like and what your name is. It's sort of like that. Just take me, for example. I think of myself as an athlete. I eat healthy. I like to educate people. And so that is who I identify myself as. But as the years go on, what most people realize is that they are not really who they think they are. They are not these things. They are beyond these things. The mere fact that you can identify that you are a person that eats healthy, you are an athlete, you are a footballer, for example, the mere fact that you can see those things means they are not you, or you are beyond those things, right? And I know I'm speaking a little bit of high level consciousness right now, but just stick through with me. A lot of the things that we've identified ourselves as, the good things and the bad things, for example, oh, I'm the type of person to like that. I'm the type of person to watch that type of show. I'm the type of person to drive that type of car. I'm the type of person to play those type of games. When you consciously identify yourself as an external thing, what you're basically doing is you're feeding energy to things externally, and you're basically giving your energy away. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but what goes on is that you start to identify yourself as those things. It could be negative things as well. It could be, oh, this person treated me this way, so I don't deserve love. And so with that sort of conscious thought, or I don't deserve love, or it becomes subconscious, but with that intent, you will literally unattract people that were meant to be in your life, right? And so when we think about it like that, it's crazy, honestly. The things that you want can be literally yours, but you just have to have the intention and move towards them. As we go below, we're going to see the self, but we're going to talk about the shadow now. Now, the shadow is made of the past that you've repressed and you want to hide from the world because they've been not accepted socially. And what this essentially does is that it tones down your personality. It takes that part of you, it hides it. But where is it hidden? It's just hidden within you. Your shadow is literally within you. I'm not saying it's somewhere in your heart or something. It is something within your mind. And when you just know about it, you have power over it. It no longer drives you insane because you are the one that is powering that instead of it being powering you. This is like the opposite of our persona, right? Our persona is for the external world. And this is like the shadow, which we hide from entering the outside world. And one example of this I can give you is Spider-Man, right? If you're a Spider-Man fan like me, you know how in the Venom symbiote storyline where he gets the black suit and he turns a little bit edgier, he just becomes different. He just starts acting differently, behaving differently. That is his shadow side that he's been repressing the whole time. The normal Spider-Man, he wants to save the city. He wants to do that. Oh, cool. He wants to do all those things. But when he gets a symbiote suit, we can see his dark side within his behaviors and within what he does. And so what I wanted to maybe understand is that it's the same, but we're not really trying to become like the symbiote Spider-Man. We're just trying to integrate both sides together and have power over both, because the dark side is running us right now. The shadow is running us. But at the same time, I want to mention that the shadow is not just bad things. It could be good things as well. A lot of people, even me, I had this misconception that the shadow is the dark side and it's just darkness. The more I researched it, I realized that if we can even suppress the good things about us, we can suppress the love that we have for others. And in Letting Go, Dr. David R. Hawkins says, if you suppress love within yourself, it's going to be shown through an obsession for pets. You know how people go up to pets and, oh, you're so cute, and just start stroking the head. The love that you hide will be shown through different avenues. And for most people, it's just through showing love to other pets and just like playing with them and stuff. That's how you know a person has a lot of suppressed love. And that is not a bad thing. It's just that society doesn't accept it. It's not seen as socially acceptable. And so people are just conforming to what is socially acceptable. But honestly, the shadow is the reason why I made this video, because I wanted to integrate it together. And the part 2 of this video will cover the shadow in much more detail. Now we are going to look at the anima and animus, right? What that basically is just that it's our otherness of our personality, and it connects our ego to our broader psyche. And what this essentially does is that it tapes our psyche together. For men, there exists an anima, which is basically an inner feminine personality, and for women there exists an animus, which is an inner masculine personality. And I'm not really saying this makes the other person more masculine or other person more feminine. This is just how we see the world of the otherness of who we are. This is our basic idea of masculinity and femininity, encompassing throughout our experiences as a child. We see our parents act a certain way, so we're going to emulate how they act, right? This is our ideas of how masculinity and femininity are formed. And now we have the self. The self is like the sun in our solar system, which is the psyche. It helps operate everything together. This is how we grasp our totality of what everything is. Everything else is rooted around the self. And when you realize self, when you gain knowledge of the self, that is how you become free of the ego attachments of thinking that you are the things outside when clearly you're not. You are not the things that you identify as on the exterior, because you are pure awareness. So in totality, everything is rooted around the self. Now for this chapter of the video, we are going to look at the shadow or the dark side. To be honest, I'm really excited to speak about this because I've been looking through this for the past months. And now I finally got the time to just sit down and talk about it with you and explain to you what it means and how to integrate it within your own personality, right? And so what I want you to understand with the shadow is like, what is the shadow? Have you ever had that question? What is the shadow? I know I've touched on it briefly in Carl Jung's model of the psyche, but really, what is the shadow? The shadow is the parts that we hide about ourselves within the world because we see them as unacceptable or socially unacceptable. People don't see us that way, so we're not going to act that way. A lot of the times, how we act to the external world it goes like this. So for example, you, right? I act how you think I will act. Take a moment to think about it. I act how you will think I will act. So I will comply to your identity of who I am. I will act how you think I will act. It's difficult to listen to, but it's easy to grasp, if you know what I mean. And so if you can understand that, that means you know how most people act. They act how other people see them as. The shadow is a part of our unconscious. It doesn't correspond with the persona that we show on the exterior. On the exterior, we can be like, oh, cool, calm, collected. We can act how we want. But the reason why we don't show it is because it's considered as a threat or like a danger. And like I said before, it's not just the negative parts, it's also the positive parts. The previous example I gave was suppression of love. The more love that you suppress within yourself, the more obsession that you will have for pets, for example. You will see an outlet for that specific suppressed emotion. What David Hawkins says in Letting Go is that most people seek an outlet more towards pets. They have their suppressed love and they release it through an obsession with pets. They're like, oh, you cute dog, I like you, a cat, you know what I'm saying? Like they hold it and they hug it. They do all these things because they have suppressed love within themselves and they don't really know how to express it. So they're going to express it through an outlet, and that outlet seems to be an obsession for pets. But as time goes on, the stuff that we build on the inside seeks 3 outlets, right? And those 3 outlets, one of them is suppression. Suppression is not letting it come to your conscious awareness, it's pushing it down. You know the thought which you have. Maybe it's sadness and you don't want to appear sad with people. Maybe it's anger. You just tone that emotion down because it's not. If you act on it right now, it's kind of like, what's this guy doing? I'm saying, so you suppress that emotion. The second one is repression. Repression is that the emotion is so strong for you to deal with that it's not even there. It just automatically goes into your unconscious because you're like, nah, I'm not dealing with you today. You just push it away. And so that is repression. Repression is not pushing it down. It just goes away because it's so difficult to deal with. And third is expression. It's expressing the anger. It's being happy. It's expressing the things that you have. And a lot of the times, yeah, you can express happiness. You can express how you want, but you can't really express anger. You can't express resentment. You can't express jealousy. You can't express all these emotions because they are deemed to be unacceptable, right? Let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. Your brain is going to have the thoughts of, you know what, I'm going to just get this guy, drown him in a river, or I'm just going to beat the shit out of him. If you do that, if you act on that desire, you'll be seen as a criminal and so you'll be jailed. But that is your subconscious mind playing. That is your dark side coming out. And you're like, damn, I'm that type of person. I'm not going to drown him. Why am I thinking these thoughts? First of all, they are just thoughts. Second of all, it's your dark side seeking an outlet to act on, right? And when you think about it like that, every single part of your dark side, listen to me clearly when I say this, everything that you have in your dark side seeks an outlet. Every single emotion, it just gets built up over time. Think about the years you've lived on this planet and think about how many emotions you've suppressed or repressed and they are just building up within you. When an instance arises which makes you angry, it's not that you got angry at the situation, it's just that the anger within you is seeking an outlet. And so it goes, I'm angry because you're not really angry because that happened. You're angry because you've got so much suppressed anger that it's seeking an outlet on the exterior. Now, when it comes to drowning a person in a river because they cut you off in traffic, obviously you're not going to do that unless you're a psycho. But like, you're not going to do that, right? Because that is your suppressed desire. Now, these dark parts that we hide within ourselves could include our sexual impulses. It can include our urges for aggression and violence, which we hide. And obviously, our conscious mind, we analyze things and we say, nah, this is not right. We shouldn't act that way because it's not good to act that way, right? Once that event happens, once you drive home after that clash with the driver and you got angry, you drive home, that emotion, that feeling is not going to be present within you because you're like, okay, it's calm, I'm good. But really what's happening is that the internal tank of anger and resentment is filling up like that. And so that suppressed event will stay and have an impact on how you act in the future. Now, the most common misconception I see of the shadow is that people see it as dark and evil and negative, and so they just hide from it. They don't want to be associated with it because it's dark, it's socially unacceptable, and it's scary. Once you dive into it, what if you just become an evil person, right? When you see the techniques that I use to integrate the shadow within my personality, you're going to see how you actually transcend these thoughts of, oh, what if I just get sucked into the dark side? Like, you're not going to be a villain, man, unless you're already a psycho. But I'm just going to teach you how I integrate my own shadow with my personality. Now, you may be asking, Tiosten, why do we need to look into the shadow? Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you, it's just fun, isn't it? It's just fun. Honestly, it's just like you're doing something which is going to benefit you, but at the same time, it's kind of fun to do it. And so why not just do it? You know what I'm saying? And second of all, what I want to say is that when you grasp the totality of your being, when you work on your impulses, when you work on your broken belief systems, it really changes the person who you are in the exterior. You just become so much of a loving person. You just become so intellectually sophisticated, and it just acts on your personality. You're just like now think about it, right? You're watching a long ass video on shadow work, on how to integrate the dark side within your personality. Who else in your life is watching do it? Who else in your life is doing the same thing as you? Probably no one. Because you're different to everyone else. While you're watching this video on shadow work, while you're watching this video on different things, there's your friends, who you call your friends, but they're not your friends. They are watching some nasty shit. Some guy's probably watching anime right now as I'm speaking, right? And another thing which I want you to understand right now is there is a silent war going on. And it's not the war that we see in the world. It's a silent war. It's psychological and spiritual war. These two things, our psychology and our spirituality, are being attacked by entities around the world. It's being funded by all these people that own these companies. For example, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. They are multi-million-dollar companies. They just want your attention. That's how they make money. And so if we learn our impulses, we're going to be able to retract from what they are trapping us into. And so imagine the power that we have over the people that are just succumbing to everything that these people are portraying. The impact that your internal world has on the external world is immense. Most of the stuff they hold in the internal world will be manifested into reality, right? And when you think about it like that, most of the stuff which you keep, most of the thoughts that you identify yourself as you, most of the emotions that you feel when you're out and about in real life. And so what I want you to understand is that you attract the level of consciousness that you're thinking. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into consciousness, but it's just the energy that you have within yourself. And if you just have the negative thoughts about yourself, you're going to see those negative stuff unfolding in your reality. In basic terms, your internal state will be reflected on the external. And so your internal is basically like a projector that you are projecting on the external world. And the more sort of positive thoughts and that mindset that you portray to the external world, the more positive thoughts that you think about yourself, the more you will see it on the outside. You can't have love for other people before you have love for yourself. Love for yourself comes first, and then that gets translated into love for others. And now we're going to talk about the deep-rooted subconscious, right? And this is where we get to trauma. And trauma, not as in trauma, because most people have this conception that trauma is violence and abuse. Trauma can just be someone saying no to you when you were a little kid. It can be just that. It's your response being disproportionate to reality. It's just that there's an instance that happened and that made you feel a certain way. And so if that instance, for example, keeps happening again and again and again and again, that will have an impact on who you are, what type of personality you have. For example, I can give you, let's say, for example, as a kid, your father went to work most of the time and you weren't able to see him. He was going to work, he used to come back, and then he used to go work back again. You didn't really get to see him as a kid that much, and what you're going to do is you're going to have this sort of anxious attachment style built up within yourself because your father was like unpredictable with his loving. I'm not saying it's his fault, but it's just that certain situations happened, and so you will just become that person. You will be manifesting that throughout your reality. If you have that negative state, that will be reflected into reality, right? And so what I want you to understand is that trauma is not really a big thing. It's just that your response is disproportionate to reality. The reason why we get triggered, or the reason why we get emotionally hijacked, right? There could be situations happening in your life where it just takes your whole consciousness away. It just pull you. There could be an emotion which controls you instead of you controlling the emotion. It could be anger. It could be sadness. It could be grief. It could be anything. If you let these emotions control your life, you're not really going to be able to build your life, because these are going to build your life the way they want it to be. And when you let your emotions run your life, you're just going to live a very egocentric life, and you're basically going to live like a victim, right? And so what I want you to realize right now, be thankful for these feelings. I'm going to say it again, be thankful that you are sad. Be thankful that you have grief, because when you have the opportunity to experience those feelings, don't resist them, right? I'm going to give you a brief explanation of the letting go technique, which I learned from Dr. David Hawkins. If you want to learn more, you can check out my other in-depth guide, which is the full guide on how to transcend in vibration. When these feelings come up, when these uncomfortable feelings come up, what I want you to do is just sit down in a quiet place and feel the feeling that you're feeling right now. What I want you to do is set 10 minutes, go to a quiet place, right? Let the feelings come up and feel the feelings that you've been resisting, because a lot of suffering comes from not feeling the feeling. It's just of resisting the feeling, of suppressing the feeling. A lot of the stuff that we deal with the internal, it's not about, oh, I'm feeling sad. It's because you're resisting feeling sad. You're not accepting the fact that you're feeling sad. The more you accept your current state, the more you understand yourself, the more you can transcend in consciousness, the more you can transcend these lower state of being. And so what I want you to do is just in a quiet place, because you're not going to be able to do it in your class or something like that. In your class, yeah, cool. You need to sometimes suppress your emotions, but when it comes to when you have your quiet time, sit down somewhere, 10-20 minutes, let yourself feel the feeling, accept that you're feeling the feeling without any resistance. And the more you do this, you let go of that inner built resentment. The more you feel the feeling, the sensations that you have in your body, not the thoughts, by the way. Don't think about what thoughts are coming up. The feeling itself. How does it feel like to feel sadness? How does it feel like to feel anger? How does it feel like to feel grief? How does it feel like to feel what you are feeling? Because a lot of the times we feel emotions, but we can't really label them as anger. It's kind of like a mix of everything. So you kind of have to accept how you feel without labeling it, right? So that is my brief explanation on letting go. Once you are done within that process, 10-20 minutes, ask yourself, like, can I let go of this? And you don't really need to answer that, because automatically you're going to be letting go of that feeling. It's kind of like picking up something and putting it down. It's like, okay, it's calm. Now, in this section of the video, we are going to reprogram our subconscious mind, and we're going to integrate our shadow within our personality, right? And so to start off, first of all, I want to teach you something which I've learned from a guy called Julian on YouTube, right? When you have a thought of that you are not confident, I'm not confident. When you have a thought of thinking I'm not confident, most people will do when they have that thought of I'm not confident, they will look for stuff on the outside. They will look for videos on how to become more confident. They will look for clothes on how to portray themselves as confident. They will look for, body language and this and this and this. Most of the stuff I want to tell you is rooted within yourself. It's not out there. The answers they are looking for are literally in here. You don't need to go out and look for everything around you in order to become someone who you're not. You don't need to look around for things to complete you. You are already complete. You are already complete. I'm not saying you can't get a partner because you're complete. Because a partner is like two people merging together is beautiful. But what I'm saying is you're complete. You don't need to add more to yourself. You are enough. I wish someone had told me this when I was 14, 13 years old. Because that was a dark, lonely journey, honestly. But now we're here. And so what I want you to teach you right now is what it's called a paradigm shift. You're shifting your paradigm. So in the first example I gave you, a person who wants to be confident, they're going to look for stuff on the outside to complete them. If you switch the paradigm and think, well, what is the thing that is holding you back from being confident? Let's already assume you are already confident. What are the things that are putting a block to that? What is blocking you from being confident, right? And so when you think about it like that, it's not really a process of building and adding more to yourself. It's not making yourself more confident. It's just that you're already confident, but like, what is holding you back? And you're removing those things. Oh, I don't really take care of myself. When you start detaching those things, when you start untangling everything, you get more clearer and you are already confident. If you think that you can't do something, what if you can? And what is holding you back from doing it? Most people, what they do is they try to look on the outside to complete them. But what I wanted to understand is that what if you already are everything that you want to be? How would you act from this position on? What if you already have all those capabilities of being that person? But what is holding you back from being that person right now? You have your ideal self, right? The person that you want to become. Don't think of how can I become that person now? How can I do things in my life in order to become that person? Just think about, what if I'm already that person? I know it sounds crazy. What if I'm already that person? But what is holding me back from acting like that person? What are some things which are blocking me? And these could be people, this could be the environment that you're in, this could be how you spend your time. Now you know what to change instead of, oh, I need to add, and I need to add more and more stuff. How about you just decompress everything? How about you remove something? And how about you take that stone you've been holding and put it down for a while, and you're like, oh shit, I've been looking for the answers everywhere, but the answer is just here. It's just within. Now, what comes with the suppressed parts of ourselves is the suppressed anger, resentment, and guilt that we have towards ourselves. I want you to realize this right now. There's a lot of things which we do not like about ourselves. And I'm going to be honest, I tried a technique which I'm going to teach you right now. And it's called shadow questions. I ask myself questions which were kind of silly, but at the same time, I got answers out of them, right? And it was more so like, why do you hate yourself? Why do you not deserve success, right? And these sort of questions, they kind of put you off guard, and it's like, oh, but I love myself. I deserve success. But when you dig deeper into the root of the cause, like what made you believe that, it actually helps you understand what place you are coming from what experiences you had and why you are acting this way. It gives you more clarity on the way you act. And so the purpose of this section is for shadow questions. And these questions you're going to ask yourself. I'm just going to get my laptop real quick because I've written the questions on there. So the 4 sort of shadow questions that you need to ask yourself are, why is success not for me? Why am I not good enough? What am I hiding? What am I afraid people might see of me? And why do I hate myself? And when you first listen to this question, you're like, I don't hate myself. I love myself. I deserve success. I'm not hiding anything. But that's not you talking. That's your persona talking, right? So we need to dive deeper. Why is it that you think this way? What is the thing which is making you think that way? And I'm going to be honest, I did that on a piece of paper. So I'm going to recommend you to do it on paper because I did the same thing. When you do it on paper, right, you can see the answers and it's like, yeah, that's a stupid answer. But at the same time, that's what you thought. That's what your belief was. And so I did it on a piece of paper. I wrote like a paragraph for each, which is crazy. And so when you understand yourself on that sort of level, it really gives you a platform to build off of. Like, as a person, you just see yourself as a whole. You don't see yourself as what you portray outside, but you see the wholeness of your personality. And by the way, write anything that comes to your mind. When you ask, why am I not good enough? Just write it down. What you think, just write it down. It can be stupid, it can be silly, but just write it down and see what happens. And the reason why we are doing these shadow questions is because we're trying to see the unconscious triggers that we have. What triggers us? What makes us believe those things? And once you have those things, you can use the letting go process of just understanding why you're feeling it and letting it go. Not resisting the feeling and just accepting how you feel and just letting it go. Now, the last thing, and this is very interesting, right? Because I just did it recently. I just did it like 2 days ago. It's like kind of as like a story time for you. I was in the common room, right, of my sixth form. It's like where people study, where people hang out together. And I was just having a conversation with my friends. And I'm not going to lie, I was thinking some deep stuff. And so my friends were talking about some movie or something, man. I don't even know. They were talking about, oh, this thing. I'm looking out the window. I'm like, what if you're going to die in 10 minutes? How would you live your life? Like, just casually. And they got like, huh? That's crazy. Like, and we just got started with like a discussion. Like, what if we actually had 10 minutes to live? How would we live this last moment of our life? What if you had the rest of the day to live? How would you live this rest of the day? And when you think of it like that, what if this is your last day and you visualize, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to hug my mom. I'm going to write letters to people. I'm going to have the best meal that I've ever had. I'm going to give a speech to people. When you think about it like that, you see the broader perspective of life. You see your unconscious unfolding. What would you do if this was your last day? Because for so long of our lives, we're trapped in a specific moment. We're trapped in here. What if this was your last moment? And you see your life after that practice. Honestly, some of my friends got emotional. I got kind of, I'm not going to say I got emotional, but I just got like a broader perspective of life. I'm like, I just got peaceful and accepting of what's happened and what is going to happen. Because when I was in that moment, I was looking at life through a zoned in, laser focused perspective of what is going on right now. But when I had that death visualization, that meditation, and just that question, it's just broadened out my perspective. I'm like, okay, life is big. And what if I would just gone right now? That's crazy, right? And when you think like that, that gives you a moment of acceptance and peace and calm, because so much of our time is spent in, oh, but this person has this much money, and it's all rooted in the worldly things. But what if it was all taken away from you and this was your last day here? Like, nothing would matter. No subscribers would matter. No views would matter. No amount of followers would matter. No amount of holding resentment for people would matter. It would just be gone. So why not make it the best moments that you're living right now? What this had basically done to me, that I was literally put in a calm state. My vibration level was skyrocket, bro. I was on the level of accept. I don't even know what level I was on, but like, I was high on the vibrational scale. Bro, honestly, I was in this, like, you could see when I was talking to girls, I was in this calm zone. I wasn't this alpha male type of guy. I was just blissful, drive to do something that was just calm and blissful. And the energy would bounce off of people because they would feel my energy. We're like, damn, where did you get the energy from? Because a lot of the stuff that we have in our modern world is corrupted. And if we are the ones that change the world, we integrate our shadow together with our personality and we help people. We integrate our personality and shadow together and we do what's best for the world right now. We're going to change how people see their lives and how people live their lives. If there's any helpful links, I'll make sure to add them in the description. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.